Hey everybody, so we're just taking a look today at some fencing with Viking sword and shield, and it's a little bit of an analysis here for a bout. So we were just practicing a rule set that myself and my student here, Mark, had been working on. So let's just take a look. So the first thing that you see is active use of the shield. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm leaving my sword visible, and the side-to-side motion is kind of a feint, right? So I'm changing angles that I'm attacking on, and eventually in doing that, I lure him into attacking me. So I've left an opening towards the inside. He goes for it with a thrust, and I can parry with the shield, or not counter, but riposte, cut to the head afterwards at an angle that's difficult to parry in time, end up hitting him clean on the head, and I also end up kind of parrying a little bit of an afterburn. So he does a redoubled attack there. So that really shows like defense, the way that the sword should move around a little bit. So I start this one with the same kind of thing. So the first one was a parry riposte. Second one, I'm moving forward here. And there what you're going to see is I actively just cut the leg and I jam his sword with my shield. So I fire the shield forward and kind of cut off the line to the sword. Sometimes that's risky, but in this case, I end up getting it, pin his sword to my shield, hit the leg, and I'm out so that he can't get either afterward. So next one I do here is a counter attack, and here, I make an attack and he does a counter attack. So part of the problem here, I'll go by play, is that after I pinned his sword the first time, like I said, it's sometimes risky to preemptively seek the blade with the shield because they can avoid it. So that's a common tactic that you'll see, is putting forth the shield to either bind against his shield or to maybe seek out the sword and close off a line there. And here's why I show this is problematic. So in the first one here, what I end up doing is I get my point online to threaten, and so he doesn't respond to that. So I end up going for a direct attack, but I've covered the line to my arm with the shield. And this is something that I say not to do, because if you end up doing it, you will get doubled exactly like this. So because I preemptively move my shield in place, it means that he can avoid the shield. He knows where it is, and he sneaks underneath and doubles me. So I initiated that attack. I would say that I hit him first on the shoulder, and he comes underneath and hits me in the belly because I've committed my shield. So here's the thing. Think about it like this. From a fencing perspective, what makes sense to do here? For parries, you want them to be early or late. And the answer is you want them to be as late as possible. So the same thing applies to a shield, believe it or not. It's better for you to be in a ready position with the arm bent until the last second of commitment than to be far forward, fully extended, where it's difficult for you to move that shield around to defend yourself. And you can be hit above or below the shield, right? So even though I have that triangle of defense, it's not enough for somebody who knows how to move their blade around. So he did just like a small disengage underneath. So I shot forward with the shield. He just does a disengage underneath, hits me in the flank, ends up being a double. So that's why you shouldn't do that. I know a lot of people say to do it. Don't. It results in doubles. It's a terrible idea.
I think so. Yeah. It felt like it. Grappling is very hard to.
So this one was a good one. He kind of exposes his arm there a little bit in coming forward. He brings his arm too far forward, but it's like a body first attack. So I can see he's telegraphing here. He starts running forward, raises the arm, and as soon as he does that, it's an easy stop thrust, stop cut. I think I'm actually hitting him with a false edge and cutting up, right? Cutting up at his arm or hand. So I got him and then defended afterwards with the shield. So it's a redoubled attack here. So he ends up going for it. He makes his attack, moving the feet forward, comes charging a thrust at me. So I deflect that with the shield and try to hit around to his head. He sees that one coming though, and he raises his shield, but the problem is that he's blinded himself. So this is the other thing, and I really take this from Targe fighting, is from Highland broadsword. So McBain talks about it, Page talks about it. You can blind yourself with the shield. Really, any author on buckler or larger weapons talks about it. So that's actually a good thing for me. So my attack was failed. It was parried. Good thing he didn't, get hit in the side of the head, but he left himself in a compromised position. Whereas I have full visibility. He's trying to blind me, but I can see. And I end up chopping to the leg before he can get there and cutting off his sword with my shield. So don't blind yourself. And then last one here, I chop the leg. So immediately just drop low, cover his sword, and he ends up going for my leg. But one of the things that I do here is I push the opposition really hard, because you'll see sometimes with this sword and shield, people will try to double your leg. So he sees me drop. Where am I exposed, right? The only place I'm really exposed that he can get is the leg. He can't reach around to the other side because I'll close that off with the shield. So he ends up dropping for the leg after I've hit him. So that's one of the reasons why you want to push it towards the inside and really do opposition on those leg strikes, because it ends up completely defending you. And even if he did it earlier, so this is kind of like almost like an afterblow. I've hit and he goes for an immediate afterblow. Even if he had managed to counterattack at the same time, you would still lock out that line and you'd hit him in a counterattack. I'm not super fond of doing this because I don't really like to get, like, not often do I do counterattacks with a sword, but it's still good to like go for opposition. If you can grab his sword on the fort or on the guard, that's what the guard is for. And even a tiny Viking guard will completely lock out his sword. So why not? That's really what it's there for. But that's a common one that happens too. So things that your takeaways, things you're going to see is there's a little bit more distance in this than what you see in other ones. So like moving backwards and forwards. I'm trying to lure him in with distance waiting, right? And this is where most of the game happens, in the feint area, outside of distance, moving around. That's the setup, and then you clash. So keep that in mind. It's not about seeking binds. It's not about getting feeling. It should all be fought visually. It should be mostly be fought visually, not through feeling, believe it or not. And the feeling happens really quickly. So once you get contact, it's really quick and over. It's not this like drawn out, touchy-feely thing that we're doing. We're not trying to do that. We're not doing sticky hands. We're fighting with feints and hard chops. And that's what these weapons are designed for. It's just like moving them around, blade heavy, feinting. It's a purely offensive tool. And then whack them in the head, the leg, or stab them in the face.